Hey, it's your boy Beck, and I'm here to talk about more Shin Megami Tensei stuff because it's all that's on my brain right now. I'm super stoked about, number 5. Well, it's not number 5 in the series, but it's the 5th main title entry. Anyway, I'm crazy excited about it. So it's just, the whole series is what's on my brain right now. Got that brain rot. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to talk about how I got into the series, what my thoughts were, how I kind of became a borderline obsessive fan. No, it's not that bad, but I first got into the series because I think Strange Journey came out on the DS, I think in like 2009, 2010, and I had seen the game before, like the cover or whatever, at the store a couple times and was like, what the hell is that? Like, the cover, it didn't look like any other DS game that I'd seen before. The title, the cover art, I'll put it up somewhere here. The cover art was just like so different, and to me it was very striking. I was like, what is this? And then when I looked at the back, I was still kind of like, what the hell is this? I'd never heard of Shin Megami Tensei before. I had vaguely heard of Persona, but I didn't really know what it was. I'm an anime fan, I'm a weeb. So of course I've heard of Persona. I tend to be a pretty big fan of JRPGs just in general. So I'm partially surprised I hadn't heard of it, but I didn't grow up with PlayStation. I had a GameCube, that was my first console. And, I didn't get another console until I think we got the Wii at some point, and then as an adult I got like a PlayStation and a Switch and those things. So I hadn't really been exposed to this series before. And so I saw this cover and I was like, what the heck is that? And it kind of stuck in my brain for a while. It was a few years after the game came out, actually. It was, to be honest, I think 4 had already come out at that point, or was about to come out. I was in, I believe, my 3rd year of college at this time. And I went to, I don't know why I was at a Toys R Us, but for some reason I was at a Toys R Us and I saw the game again, and I happened to be like, at that point it was pretty cheap, so I was like, well, I'll risk it, I'll spend the money on this game. And I got home, I was staying at my parents' that weekend. I don't remember why, but I was, because I distinctly remember laying in my childhood bedroom bed, with my DS, I had my little headphones in, playing this game, and just being instantly drawn into it. Like, the first 30 minutes to like an hour of this game is just like cutscenes, and like, it's a DS game, so it's these text cutscenes, characters. I was like, did I buy a visual novel? I was very confused. It's like, I kind of thought this was a JRPG, but if it's gonna be a visual novel with the occasional battle, like, that's cool too. I was intrigued. The story was very interesting. It was something I hadn't seen before, really, in like a video game, like of this type. And then, after the first hour and a half of the game, you get into the I don't know how to pronounce that word. It's like German, Schwarzel. I don't know, the big vortex thing. You get into the first like dungeon, or the first layer of the storm. I'm just gonna call it the storm because it's easier to say. And I was like, oh shit, this is really fucking cool. Like, it was. I mean, and I remember I was obsessively playing it. My brother looked over, and my brother is interested in like game making and stuff, and he was looking at it and going, that game kind of looks like ass. And he's like, it does, but it was a DS game, so what can you do? Like, the 3D on DS isn't great. 3D, like the first person, you're walking around in the dungeon. First person dungeon crawling, I guess, on the DS, it was never gonna look great, but I mean, for what it was, I thought it looked really pretty good. My brother was like, oh, people will play games like this. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll play any game as long as it has a good story or is fun. It just had a lot of things that I like. It had like sci-fi, it had like intrigue. I liked that the story was a lot more mature than most video games I had played. I hadn't played a lot of M-rated games at that point, other than like Halo, and I think I played Bioshock at that point. You know, I liked the more mature story. I found the characters really intriguing. The writing was really good. The music really drew you in, and that was one of the big things that impressed me about it while I was playing, was everything about it really drew you in and got you focused. The music in particular, I was like, because even, you know, you're just reading text on a screen, and it had my heart pounding at points, even right away. And I thought that was really cool. And then a year later, maybe less, I got Shin Megami Tensei 4, and I remember, I remember being towards the end of the game, and I would use the game as a means to get me to study for my finals. I'd be like, all right, you can play for like 15 minutes, then you got to study for another 40 minutes, and then that game actually was really helpful for me to study. But yeah, I was in like my 4th year of college, and I started playing this game, and remember my initial thoughts were like, you know, because the game starts out as like you're a samurai and you're going further into this cave, and I kind of expected that, okay, well, that's what this game is it'll be more of this, you're going through the cave and then you're doing stuff, you know, in the world above as well. That's kind of what I thought the game would be. And then when you break through into Tokyo, I was like, oh shit, which I should have I mean, had I played more Shin Megami Tensei games, I would have expected, okay, at some point we're gonna end up in Tokyo, because all of them take place there. But when you got there, because I hadn't really played much of the series before, other than the only one I played was Strange Journey, it kind of surprised me. I didn't expect to have that much openness and that much more stuff happening. And again, I loved the story instantly. I really was interested in the characters pretty quickly. The music in that game was fantastic. I still will play that music on repeat all the time. I love that soundtrack. Really sets the mood. And I thought it was amazing how great this game looked. Because on the 3DS, you know, I mean, there's some decent looking games on there. I'm not gonna lie, but like that game I was playing, I was like, this is like console quality. Like, this game, it blew me out of the water. And that was when I became a really big fan of the series, because I was so impressed by it. And I looked up more about the series. I learned kind of, oh, okay, this is this huge series. It's got all these spin-offs. Persona's a spin-off of it, all of this stuff. And really kind of dug into that, and I got really interested in it. And I was like, I wish I could, you know, play some of those older games, because I didn't have like a PlayStation 2, and I was in college at that point. I didn't have a lot of money to spend on stuff. Actually, I think I actually did have the PlayStation at that point, because my brother, well, he borrowed it to me, and then I just never gave it back. I still have it in my room right now, even though I don't really play it ever. I was like, I'd love to play some of these other games, but, you know, I just didn't have the money at that point to be really buying games. One of my big things about it, though, was like, nobody I knew had even really heard of Shin Megami Tensei, and nobody knew, you know, heard of this game. And I was trying to tell everybody, I was like, you have to play this game. It's really good. And like everyone was like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, seriously, you will like it if you play it. I still have never gotten any of my friends to play a Shin Megami Tensei game, even though I know, you know, at least a few of them would really love them, which is a little annoying. The only place that I found people who knew about this game was like on Tumblr, which I didn't really talk to any other fans. You know, I'll follow a few blogs. Yeah, it just shocked me that I didn't see anybody talking about this game that was legitimately console quality. It was definitely, it was up there as far as my favorite games of all time. It still is. Like, I think it's a fantastic game. After I beat 4, I got, on the DS, they had the eShop, and I got, I think it was Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, or I got that, and I don't think I've ever beaten that, but it's a good game. I think I just had other games that came up, and the perils of being a gamer, and there's not enough time for all your games. And then I also had found Devil Survivor 2 for the DS. I remember I picked that up at a GameStop. That game was really hard. I couldn't do it. I was like, this game's too hard for me, so I didn't end up, I ended up not even keeping that game, just because I was like, I can't do this, it's too hard. I liked that kind of strategy game. It was just, I don't know if they have difficulty settings on, because I know they did like remake of that or whatever for the 3DS. And I wonder if that has an easy mode, because if it does, I might consider getting it again and trying it, because I was like, I like this game, I just suck at it. And because of that, I wasn't interested in getting the first Devil Survivor. I think on the DS it's called Overclocked. And then after I graduated college, Apocalypse came out, the sequel to 4. I, got that, and I remember, like, just sitting on my couch after work every day, just, like, playing my 3DS, like, because I was super excited about it. I gotta say, though, Apocalypse, it had some moments that were really cool, but I also felt a little bit like it was the same game, because a lot of the dungeons and locations were the exact same as 4. I kind of found it disappointing. And also in 4, there was a lot of times where you made a decision that felt like it affected things, whereas that one, it kind of just felt like Dogda was dragging you through the game the whole time, and I was like, okay, well, I don't feel like I'm making any decisions. At the same time, I thought it was a really fun game. I really liked it. It had some really cool moments. I loved the character design for Nanashi. I loved the way he looked. I was like, that's really cool. I liked how it connected to 4. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I was a big fan of the DS titles that I played, at least. Then around that time, I bought a PlayStation 3 because I wanted to play the Tomb Raider, like, trilogy that was on there. Like, it has Tomb Raider, Legends, Anniversary, and I don't remember what the other one is, Underworld maybe? And so I wanted that. It was cheaper to do that than to buy the games for my PlayStation 2 that I already had. So I bought the PlayStation 3, and when I was looking around in the store, I realized, oh, they have so many of these PlayStation 2 classics. There was a fair amount of Shin Megami Tensei titles on there. So I bought Nocturne, both of the digital Devil Sagas, which I haven't gotten around to playing yet. I got the first Ride Out, I think it's called Demon Summoner, but the Ride Out games. I got the first one of those, which that one's really fun too. I do have the second one now as well, but I haven't gotten around to it. And then I was playing Nocturne obsessively, after I finished Apocalypse. And that game is hard. I was always looking at Tumblr just to see what, like, fan art or memes, and again, there wasn't, like, a lot of the series, which is kind of frustrating, because, like, it's really good. And maybe it's just because there wasn't a console game in such a long time that, like, people kind of weren't talking about it anymore. I hope that with 5 coming out that people will talk about it more. That game, it was really fun too, just because, like, the difficulty made it kind of fun. Like, I would struggle. I had to use a walkthrough for most of it. I don't think I actually ever finished the whole thing. I got pretty far. I got stuck on, there's a dungeon where you go up in this tower, and it's got like a bajillion floors. Boss on it are the 3 sisters, the Fates, from Greek mythology. And you fight each one of them separately, and then you fight all 3 of them together. And I could easily beat the 3 of them separately, but when I got them together, even using a walkthrough, I just couldn't do it. Like, I had all the correct spells, and I could not do it. And I got stuck there, so I'm hoping, because I haven't gotten the chance to play too much of the remaster of the game on the Switch yet, but I'm hoping when I get to that point, I'll be able to get past it this time. Of course, I could have just gone and done more stuff down in the Layers of Hell area, or, there was so much in that game to do, actually. Again, with that game, the music was a big drawing factor for me, because it's got this, like, kind of, like, metal vibe. I'm a big fan of metal, so just having this, like, screamo music while I'm battling, like, demons and, like, recruiting them, and I was just like, this is so sick, And that's kind of just how I felt about the whole series from the get-go. Well, very well polished and just, cool. And I've struggled to get into the Persona series. I do have Persona 5 and I like it. I just haven't finished it yet. It's a long game. And I like it, but I do still prefer, like, the mainline games. Not to start shit. I know people get all bent out of shape. They're all good. I do wish more people even knew about, because it seems like most people I talk to, like, when Shin Megami Tensei 5, they showed the trailers of it. There's so many people who were like, wait, isn't this just Persona? And I'm like, no, yes, but no, this game actually, it's Persona's the spin-off, I really love this series. I really love to read the novel, the the first game was kind of inspired by or based off of, just because like that's so cool. But I don't know if it's ever been published in English. I think there's a fan translation online somewhere that I have bookmarked. I just need to actually sit down and read it at some point. And maybe I'll eventually read that and do a video on that. I'm just super excited about Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just happy to see this game have such a big release. I really want this series to be revitalized, a lot of new fans to it. I want more people to know how great this series is, and to play the games, and, you know, summon demons, and, you know, be gay, do crimes. So yeah, that's how I got into Shin Megami Tensei, you know, how I became a fan. I guess, like, what games did you start with? You know, is it this newest one that came out? Did you play from the beginning? Was it the PlayStation 2 era? How did you get into the series? I'd love to know. I'd love to chat about one of my favorite game series. All right. Peace.